Come on, dance tunes! Hey, they let you out of jail to go to the parade, huh?
Yeah, I can go as far as the courthouse, so they might be knowing who I am.
Extra.
Good shots?
Yeah. Andrew, watch out for this. Put it in your pocket. No, I don't want it. No, I don't want it. Put it in your own pocket.
Tribal council. the touching things and the most important thing to me today was that Johnny R. Lee and Vic Charlo were supposed to lead our parade, and they did, as it turns out. Vic Charlo being the great-great-great-grandson of Chief Charlo, who led the people, the last people across that Higgins Avenue Bridge in 1891. Johnny R. Lee being the great-great-great-great-grandson of Chief R. Lee, who brought the people across that bridge before 1891, the first ones to come up here. Johnny had his gallbladder removed Thursday. He had pneumonia Saturday. He's in an intensive care unit. We had a little talk with the nurses and the doctor up there yesterday. We didn't threaten him or anything, but we told him if Johnny couldn't come out and be in the parade for an hour and a half, we were going to have the damn parade in St. Pat's Hospital. So Johnny was here. Let's give him a hand. He's the one that should be talking here. Johnny's the one who should be talking here, not me. He has earned the right to talk to you people. He always gives the blessings. As those of you who are always at our doings on the reservation know, we always have a prayer before we start. Johnny does that prayer 90% of the time. Today he's asked me to ask our friend and brother Alec Quickwasoo if he'd pray for this gathering and say a few words. And when he's through, we have a few more speakers that will say 5 minutes or so each. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to Alec Quickwasoo, one of our very traditional Indians. Give him a hand, please, before.
Thank you, Doug. As most of you know, that you probably all know me, our people that live in the Bitterroot, all of our people's homeland, today, that we're here to reenact what was once ours. Ladies and gentlemen, as far back as I can remember, my family, I come from a big traditional family. We did not speak English, we spoke Salish. That's the way that we were raised. I come from about 18 of our family, all the children. So today, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure, great honor to stand before you for our good friend, Mr. Johnny R. Lee. But I'll do a prayer in my own native tongue that we're thankful today for the good weather that we had to have our parade today. But we're also thankful and we ask our Creator to let Johnny come and join us into the parade today. There's probably many, many, many tears that was on the trail of what we come through today. Lots of remembrances, lots of hard feelings. And it's still in some of our hearts. It's Christoph and Eus Susans Paktum Yetsaheim. Lemnem shipping for den Soten Quinch and Soten, but as to Chauston, das Yard, the President Skydok yet Elka see you at the pump. Has it emptied the what it put the President School there. Let us hope to bring for den Soten Quinch and Soten, so for the Yard, the President School yet parts that heart. Committed sich etwas in Fundament, that is all shooting. Let us choose how we could yo-yo. We got a question, can wisdom to President Ulmer to the President Skady. Let us choose how we know the President for Johnny, for John. And which since Sada, let us choose how we to make the street sequenced and something. What sits the President? Come in, street sheet. Kein Eldus Chimaskatukuchi, as Questus Commenced Cherish this year. Suppose us some days only yet stolen, but Kakwitz Chimas. Kakwitz yet what to pass yet, Zenum question to pay good wisdom. Let's take it can, but now, first question to weapons good wisdom can, but now. How specific data has question to say, Kakwitz question to say, from yet city. Jim Quaint somebody could quite say, don't cast Kakwitz and something. Anyway, still going to this yard in Bedford, or in SSP, especially states and next point. Saint Tomatis closed Kakwitz and something, catch house, Kakwitz a point, AFS question yet, farm which changes text to from the NCP. There can test Miss Good and something, still the airs, say, or sense, but it's Kakwitz such to know that the farm shears from the NCP. Answer which and something different, but the mention which could and something. Who got the work was Steadham's to was made yet the pass for the part. There looks to be good and something for it was too child. That's all position just yard you know can see it parts for the parts. That's all it's expressive. Who can see that's how we can take spark committee as an act to Johnny. This yard at school is yard at too child parts for the part. That's a combination. Express the Federals who sends back to the next day. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, for the prayer and the good word. It's always nice to hear from Alex. He has good things to say. We have a few more speakers that will give you a few words. At this time, I'd like to ask my lifelong friend, the president of Salish Kootenai College, former tribal councilman, and Indian Educator of the Year for the entire United States, Dr. Joseph McDonald. He's going to say a few words to you. Joe?
Thank you, Doug. On behalf of all of us, I want to extend the thanks to all the people that participated in the parade, that got floats together, that walked, the rode horses, that sat on the floats, drove the trucks. Thank you very much. And for all the people that came to watch, thank you very much. And for Doug and Wally for organizing this, and Johnny, a special thanks to you because it was a wonderful idea. Ideas just start, and if they're good, why, they'll carry out like this. So Doug, it was a good idea. Sometimes we have ideas and they don't come off quite this well. But it was certainly something that was needed. The parade had three focuses. One was to call attention to our people that were evicted from the Bitterroot. There was a pamphlet that was put together by the Salish Cultural Committee that was passed out, and I hope that you got one of those. We printed about 1,000 of them. It kind of, in a short way, tells the story. The other part was to draw attention to our celebration at Arlene that's going to take place starting this Wednesday. And then to call attention to how our tribe has survived, and how they've gotten along. And so we had a lot of our different departments had parades in there showing their work and what they were doing. And a special thanks to that Salish Kootenai College group for putting together all those nice parades on our part. And thank you very much for that. I just like to extend my invitation to all of you to come to the powwow. It's amazing that celebration is going on the way it has. As you read in the powwow book put out by John R. Lee and Bob Biggert, the government didn't want the Indians to have powwows, and they banned them. And so they secretly held them. And so Mose Chow-Tay said, to his recollection, the first powwow was 1898, 7 years after Charlo and the group got to Evero. So we're celebrating the 100th year, and we want all of you to be part of it. Bearhead, I'll steal his one-liner, but he was telling us down there, he bet that in '91 the Indians got across Higgins Avenue Bridge a lot faster than we did today.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you the direct descendant of all of our chiefs, Charlo, over the years. A world-class poet and author, and a person that has always been proud to be a member of our Flathead tribe, and whose great-great-great-grandfather came across that same bridge today. Would you give a round of applause, please, to Vic Charlo. Thank you, guys. This is a good day. This is a good day. I'd like to thank all of you folks that came here. Doug, Johnny, all the folks that organized, all the folks that donated horses, the folks that were in the parade. I want to especially thank my 4 children, Mary, Claire, April, Martin, for being with me today, and George Coffey. Thank you. Thank you for coming with me. We're here today because of our ancestors. They encouraged us through all the turmoil that they went through. Coming out of the Bitterroot, living in a new place. They encouraged us with the songs, with their words, with their living the hard life that they lived. They said that Charlo, after he moved out of the Bitterroot, was a bitter man. There's a speech that he gave, and I want to read it. It's not very long. But he gave this speech when the white man asked him to pay taxes, and he was an angry man that day. And today, even though this is somewhat of a festive day, is still a hard day. Yes, my people, the white man wants us to pay him. He comes in his intent and says we must pay him for our own, for the things we have from our God and from our forefathers, for things he never owned and never gave us. What law or right is that? What shame or what charity? The Indian says that a woman is more shameless than a man, but the white man has less shame than our women. Since our forefathers first beheld him, more than 7 times 10 winters have snowed and melted. Most of them, like those snows, have dissolved away. Their spirits went whither they came. His, they say, go there too. Do they meet and see us there? Can he blush before his Maker? Or is he forever dead? Is his prayer, his promise, a trust of the wind? Is it a sound without sense? Is it a thing whose life is a foul thing? And is he not foul? He has filled graves with our bones. His horses, his cattle, his sheep, his men, his women have a rot. Do not his breath, his gums stink. His jaws lose their teeth, and he stamps them with false ones. Yet he is not ashamed. No,
No, his course is destruction. He spoils what the Spirit who gave us this country made beautiful and clean. And that is not enough. He wants us to pay him. Besides his enslaving our country, yes, and our people besides that degradation of a tribe who never were his enemies. What is he? Who sent him here? We were happy when he first came, since we often saw him, always heard him and of him. We first thought he came from the light, but he comes from the dusk of the evening now, and like the dawn of the morning. He comes like a day that is past, and night enters our future with him. To take and to lie should be burnt on his forehead, as he burns the sides of my horses stolen by him with his name. Had heaven's chief burnt him with some mark to refuse him, we might have refused him. No, we did not refuse him in his weakness. In his poverty we fed him, we cherished him, yes, befriended him, and showed him the fords and defiles of our land. Yet we did not think his face was concealed with hair, and that he often smiled like a rabbit in his own beard, a long-tailed skulking thing, fond of flat lands and soft grass and wood. Did he not feast us with our own cattle on our own land? Yes, on our plain by the cold spring. Did he not invite our hands to his paper? Did he not promise before the sun and before the eye that put fire in it, and in the name of both, and in the name of his own chief, promise us what he promised, to give us what he has not given, to do what he knew what he would never do. Now, because he lied, and because he yet lies, without friendship, manhood, justice, or charity, he wants us to give him money, pay him more. When shall he be satisfied? A roving, devoted bird, a natural liar next, and withal a murderer, a tyrant. To confirm his purpose, to make the trees and stones and his own people hear him, he whispers, soldiers, lock houses, and iron chains. My people, we are poor, we are fatherless. The white man fathers his doom on us, and on the few that may see a few days more. He, the cause of our ruin, in his own snake, which he says stole upon his mother in his own country to lie to her. He says his story is that man was rejected and cast off. Why did we not reject him forever? He says one of his virgins had a son nailed to death on 2 cross sticks to save him. Were all of them dead then? When that young man died, we would be safe now, and our country our own. But he lives to persist. Yes, the rascal is also an unsatisfied beggar, and his hangman and his swine follow his walk. Pay him money. Did he inquire how? No, no. His meanness ropes his charity, his avarice wives his envy, his race breeds to extort. Did he speak at all like a friend? He saw a few horses and some cows, and so many tons of rails. His envy thereon baited to the quick. Why thus?
because he himself says he is in big debt and wants us to help him pay. His avarice put him in debt, and he wants us to pay him for it and be his fool. Did he ask how many helpless widows, how many a fatherless child, how many a blind and naked thing bear a little from a little we have? Did he, in destroying night, when the mountains and the firmament put their faces together to freeze us, did he inquire if he had a spare rag or a blanket to save our lost and perishing steps to our fires? No, no. Cold he is, you know, and merciless. 4 times in one shivering night last winter knew the old one-eyed Indian Kenneth, the gray man of full 710 of winters, was refused shelter in 4 of the white man's houses on his way on that bad night. Yet the aged blind man was turned out to his fate. No, no, he is cold and merciless, haughty and overbearing. Look at him, and he looks at you, how his fishy eyes scan you as the Wayups do the shelled blue cock. He is cold, and stealth and envy are with him and fit him, as do his hands and feet. We owe him nothing. He owes us more than he will pay us. Yet he says there is a God. I know another aged Indian with his only daughter and wife alone in their lodge. He had a few beaver skins and 4 or 5 poor horses, all he had. The night was bad and held every stream in thick ice. The earth was white. The stars burned near us as if to pity us. But the more they burned, the more stood the hair of the deer on end with cold. Nor heeded they the frost bursting the willows. 2 of the white men's people came to the lodge, lost and freezing pitifully. They fared well inside that lodge. The old wife and only daughter unbound and cut their frozen shoes, gave them new ones, and crushed sage bark rind to keep their feet smooth and warm. They gave them warm soup, boiled deer meat, and boiled beaver. They were saved. Their safety returned to make them live. After a while, they would not be stopped. They would go. They went away. Mind you, remember well. At midnight, they returned, murdered the old father and his daughter, and her mother asleep, took the beaver skins and horses and left. Next day, the first and only Indian they met, a fine young man they killed, put his body under the ice and rode away on his horse. Yet, they say, we are not free. Will he tell his own crime? No, no, his crimes to us are left untold. But the desolator bawls and cries the dangers to the country from us, the few left of us. Other tribes killed and ravished his women, staked his children and beat his steers, and he gives them blankets and sugar for it. We, the poor flatheads, who never troubled him, he wants now to distress and make poor. I have no more to say, my people. This much I have said, and I close to hear your mind about this payment. He never begot laws nor rights to ask. His laws never gave us a blade of grass, nor a tree, nor a duck, nor a grouse, nor a trout. No, like the wolverine that steals your cash, how often does he come? You know he comes as long as he lives and makes more and more and dirty what he leaves. I would just like to end by saying this is a speech by Charlot that he gave a long time ago. And that speech reflects a lot that still goes on today concerning our sovereignty. We're not Hollywood Indians, folks. We're here to stay. We're going to be here centuries and centuries and centuries more. We're here and we'll always be here. Our young men have died for this country. My brother's name is on that doughboy statue that's right over there in the corner in this courthouse. He died for our country, and we're here to stay. Thank you.
Please give a hand to my friend Louis Adams.
An honor to be here. When I listened to Vic Charlot, I reflected back to the things that I heard when I was growing up. I got to talk with some of the old people. My great-granddad, Victor Vanderberg, Sophie Louise, Ellen Big Sam, Marianne Holmes. I heard Sam Resurrection, my Ossack woman, Mary Kaufman. They all said something like what Vic was saying. Charlot was a broken-hearted man when he had to leave the Bitterroot. And that's the old people used to, when I was growing up, when I was little, at times I'd walk into a place where they were at, or walk up to somebody, and all of a sudden they'd change the subject. And later on, when I matured, when I became a young adult, I found out why. I asked Sophie Louise one time, what is the story on that? Every time I kind of ask, they ignore me. And she told me, you're old enough now, you should know. She says, if the people would have stayed together, if Charlot, his true followers, or Tsilkas, that's what the white man called sub-chiefs. He said they were the true ones that stayed with him till he had to move in 1891. He said, that's why a lot of us still hurt in our heart. A lot of our people still have anger in their heart because our people did not stay with Charlot till the last. And that's why I honor Charlot so much, even though he died long time ago. Because he could see what was happening. He could see the greatest theft that the Salish ever faced in their existence was going to be pulled off. That's why he did not sign anything. That's why I used to hear the old people say, the people that did sign this treaty, or how many treaties they come up with, they said, yeah, big canoe, thunder, squeak some fat, grizzly bear trap. People like that, they said, were nobodies. That's what the white man, anybody would say nowadays. They were nobodies. They said all the government wanted was thumbprints. So they let anybody put their thumbprint, and they made them feel important. Give them tickets or something. And that's what I found out from the old people. A lot of them were still heartbroken, a lot of them were still angry. But they said they would not tell the little kids these things because they didn't want the kids to grow up, when they were real little. Because they said there was nothing we could do about it anyway. We were forced off our lands. We have to accept where we're at. We have to do the best we can. And the last one I heard saying these words was Mary Ann Combs. She died in '77. And I used to visit her almost weekly before she died. She was the last one I heard say that. She was also the last one I used to hear a bunch of others talk about when they had to leave Stevensville. She said when they had to leave there, it was like you all know, leave or else. She said when they had to leave, everybody was crying when they crossed the river. She said even the men. And to me, when I hear about what went on, it reminds me of World War II, or the Tan Death March. You know? If you fell down, if you slowed up, you got killed. And our greatest sin was wanting to be left alone, wanting our land. And that's why Charlot and the old people were so bitter, because they didn't hang together. Some of them come ahead. Maybe it would have turned out the same anyway. I don't know. But still, it would have been nice to find out, because a little bit of that is in my heart yet too. Sorry to say. But Mrs. Combs said when they left, they came, they got to a place called Kootenai, that's on this side of Lolo. There's a wide spot there just before you get to the steep hill. Said that steep place with a wagon trail, that's why they called it Kootenai, because it was a narrow wagon road. She said, and that's where they camped, in that meadow before you get there. She said, and the next day we came across this. We came wherever they crossed. She never did say. She just said, the next day we camped on the other side of Missoula. She said, there was a nice big wide spot over there. There wasn't many people yet. She said, and that's where we made camp for that night. She said, and the next day when we packed up and left, we made it to Schlei. They call it Sinslatsna. And that's Schlei, the Schlei Basin. She said, and that was our last camp. She said, the next morning when we all got up there, we got ready to go to where the rest of the Indians were already at, up by Joppa Church, up in that whole area where High Francis, there's some ranches back in there now. But that's where the Indians kind of settled, majority of them. The ones that came ahead. But she said that morning when we got ready to go up there, she said everybody got ready like they were going to war. The men, all they had was their washcloths, they painted their faces, instead their roaches, they stood them up, just like they were going to war. Apparently, I didn't know that, she told me. That's the way they did when they were going to go to war. She said, all of us headed up there. She said, because the people said later on, she said, when we got up there, because we was going fast, they thought they were being attacked. She said, but when we got there, they found out it was us. Everything was okay. But she said that was the three places we camped. Over here, when you come through Kootenai and crossing the side, up there by the M Mountain up there, and back here, some open places where we camped. And then up to fly to some shots and up. But that was the last one that I heard that story from. I used to hear Soap and Louise, a bunch of the old people. There's no Cossack woman, Mosby, Swassa. But that's what I have to share with you. Lemons.
Thank you very much, Louis. We have a couple more people I'd like to have just say a few words to you. You've noticed all the speakers today so far have been men. But among our people, our women don't walk 5 feet to the rear anymore. Maybe they did at one time, but they don't do that anymore. I would like to ask a couple of our women to come up here and say a few words. The first being our new tribal councilman, Jamie Hamel. Jamie, could you come up and say a few words, please? Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. She's kind of bashful and she's got a bunch of kids hanging out of her. She's not a bit bashful. I was lying about that one. And if my daughter's Wally's around, I'd like to have her come up here if she didn't leave already.
Hi, thank you. I would just really like to thank everybody for participating today. It was a great event. A big thank you to Doug Allard for, it was a lot of hard work getting this together. I know there was a lot of preparation, and for everybody that participated in it, it's just a really nice thing to be a part of it. I'm really honored to be here. It's nice to see the strength in our numbers, to show the strength of our tribe, what we have today, and to show the strength that we're going to go on, we're going to stay. And I'd just like to thank everybody for participating, and what a great way to kick off the 100th year powwow. So open invitation to everybody to come to the 100th year powwow in our lake. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Next, I would like to ask to say a few words, somebody I've known a long time. It's my daughter, Wally, who helped me. We had a kind of a two-man committee here, or one-man, one-woman committee, and we can get a lot done because she's just a little more stubborn in one way than I am. So at this time, I'd like to ask my daughter, Wally, who had a lot to do with this, to say a few words. Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Wally.
Anybody else, I'd like to thank the Creator for this beautiful day that He has given us. After all of the rain He's given us to make it green, He allowed us this beautiful sunny day to have our parade, and I'm thankful to Him for that. And then I'd like to thank all of our people here who came here to show their pride. I wish that all of the people who were standing on the sides were just as proud to join in and walk with us. I'd like to also reflect a little bit on a letter that I wrote to the Charcusta, that we need to band together. We need to start practicing some of our traditional values of cooperation, you know, and working together. And, you know, this parade, everybody getting together to make this happen, it shows that we, you know, there are a lot of us who still believe that, who still believe in the traditional values and not in the political and money game of you know, that we've been taught since the time that we've been moved. And with that, I'd like to announce that on August 29th, the People Center and SKC College are going to together sponsor or host an auction. We're going to have the Colonel himself as our auctioneer, and we're going to have an auction of Native American arts and crafts to benefit the People Center and the college, so that we can continue to preserve our culture, so that we continue to reflect on our past and promise our future something. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wally. You never know, you know, they say, I've heard for years that Indians are kind of bashful and they're not very good speakers. But over the years, I've learned something. All you have to do to hear a good speech is hand a microphone to an Indian. I don't care which one. They can all come up with what they call a few words. At this time, I would like to thank some people who helped a lot in this endeavor and in this parade. I'd like to thank my wife, Jera, who did a lot of work for me. She's standing back there someplace. And my daughter, Fufi, who just was nothing but trouble. She's not even listening to me. I'd like to thank the Veterans Warrior Society up here for leading our parade. Let's give them a hand, ladies and gentlemen. They've been all day there. They believe that until the thing is over, that they're kind of standing guard over us. And that's kind of an old-time tradition, Indian tradition, as well as a white tradition. And they're all veterans, and we're proud to have them here. I'd like to thank our group called Yaman Suit, of which Johnny R. Lee is a member, Alex Quigwasu, Clara, all the McDonalds, all the big cranes that are there helping. Had it not been for the fact that they agreed to help me start to do this when I first started, I would have never had enough guts to go ahead and start it. But I said, will you guys come and help? They said, yeah, we'll be there. So let's give them a heart. They're the drummers and singers here, Yaman Suit. Thank you very much. I'd like to once again thank my daughter Wally. I'd like to thank the cantankerous Bearhead who was here. I was going to have him say a few words, but he probably had a tea time at 4 o'clock at the Missoula Country Club and couldn't show up. Did you notice he drove his golf cart with clubs in the parade? Big Indian guy, that guy is. No, he said, you know, we're showing what we are today. We're also golfers. He said, I'm going to drive my golf cart, and I respect him for that. I thought that was great. So he did get cheated out of a little bit of speech. I would like to thank all the tribal departments. Each time I called one, and I was scared to call the first one and ask if they would participate, each time I called one, I got feeling a little better about it because I never had one say, I don't think that's a good idea. I never had one say, I don't think we could do that. They all said, we've never done anything like that before, but we'll do it. And they all did. The policeman at the corner by the Oxford said there was somewhere between 625 and 700 people in that parade. So I picked the figure of 650 when I was getting interviewed. So I would like to thank all of you from those tribal departments. Salish Kootenai College showed up with 6 vehicles and all kinds of people and drummers and singers and dancers and everything. And I'm proud of that. Once again, I would like to thank everyone that took part in the parade. People say, are you going to do this again? I said, yes, we're going to do this every 100 years. No, I don't know if we'll ever do it again or not. Might not. You never know. This was a good time to do it. Maybe another time won't. Once again, I would like to thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank all of my tribal members for participating. I would like to thank the people of Missoula and especially the police department who gave us total 100% cooperation. And I would like to thank our Creator for putting us here, for showing us the way to do things. And I would like to thank those Salish people who came over that Higgins Avenue Bridge, same one we did today, and somehow in their heart, they came across with nothing. They came here with nothing. I hope today that they were looking down at us and that they were proud and they said, those people did pretty good. I would like to think that they had that to say. So I thank the Creator and our ancestors and all of you. Thank you very much for coming.